place has become quite an institution, hey?
It has. It has. I remember.
12 years old now.
Can you believe it? Eh?
Yeah.
12 years old.
Yeah.
How time flies, Paul.
Does, eh?
It waits for no man. Our first.
Well, not next Monday
Yes.
is exactly at 6:15 p.m. 1 year, 8 years ago since I had my accident. It'll be 8 years, yeah.
Is that how long ago it was?
8 years, yeah.
8 years ago. I remember sitting next to you in, which was the old, down at the Cork Bay Harbour, listening to jazz at the.
Yeah,
What was
it's a Michael's place, yeah, Paloma.
Polanos or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we used to sit and listen to jazz there with the fireplace and the ocean.
Cool, eh?
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, on Mike Townsend, yeah.
Couldn't actually beat it. And that very famous drummer who did the Nedbank.
Yeah, that was old Kesava Naidu or
Yes.
the Indian guy.
Indian.
Yeah, Kesava, yeah.
Brilliant.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Paul, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure, mate, yeah.
It's lovely to be able to sit here.
Yeah.
Outside, as you so aptly described, an institution in Cape Town,
Yeah.
the House of Machines, and we'll sort of dig down into what that actually means and the impact that the House of Machines has not only had in the local community, but how it forms part of your narrative and your journey.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, because I've always thought of you as like a bit of a disruptor.
Yeah.
In the fashion world, but then not only the fashion world, just like in Cape Town in general. When you meet somebody new that's never met you before in a crowded bar or in a coffee shop in Bangkok or Delhi, how do you introduce yourself? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I'd say apart from concepts and stuff, my big passion is people. That's why we have the coffee bar and the other ones that I've had, and why I work on the market that I do, because I absolutely love people and connecting. And the first thing I will do if I walk into a coffee place is I'll make sure there's someone there. It doesn't even have to be that interesting. I'll make sure I connect with them. So I just love people, and I love finding out about them and inspiring them and getting inspired by them. So for me, then, they'll say to me, I'll find out where they're from, and I say, where you from? I'll say, well, actually, I come from Cape Town, and I'm a creative person, I'm a concept person, and I've very briefly told them what pushes my button. And, often there's a synergy. You'll find that they might be a photographer, they might be a graphic artist or whatever, and then the conversation will evolve. But inevitably, I've formed very good relationships in different countries. It's almost like my passion. That's why I'm not into visiting like tourist spots and museums and art galleries, yes. But not, but not, I won't go to, well, this is where so-and-so arrived in 1862, whatever. I'm more into the heart of the people. So I will always find a really cool cafe and base myself there, and then inevitably like connect with the people and find out more about them, and that's what really turns me on. Yeah.
Community and feeding off
Community is critical, and just being part of their culture for a while. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that when you visit a new city, like you've just returned from from the east, you sort of root yourself and you frequent the same establishments, and for a reason. And the reason is just that, is to plug into the community, and to understand the not only the culture, but essentially the fabric of what drives that small community, right?
Yeah, I mean, like the one person I met there who happened to be a textile person, we got talking about fabrics and textiles, and she said, oh, you must go there, you must go there. And anyway, then it was getting a bit late, and he said, look, why don't you come around to our place for dinner? And she took me to their home, and the whole family lives in one big house, and there's a married two sons and three daughters, whatever, all married, and they're all together, but eating their food the way they've cooked it in the kitchen, and just like seeing the old guy, the father and the mother, and the father was quite an old guy, but he was still the head of the family and he had the prime position and held court. But it was so lovely to be part of that for a while and to taste their culture and to taste their food, you know. And that stays with you, you know. And then you get to understand why their art is what their art is, why their shapes of their buildings. I love walking down the road and looking at the architecture, the old architecture, and how it's influenced the modern architecture. And you always see the modern and the old coming together, but there's always that hint and that smell and that taste of their culture, you know. And that's what I love the most about travel, is picking up that, you know.
Yeah, all those things that make traveling real. You described it. It's the smells, it's the heat, it's the noise of the city. And I'll just say that we're sitting in downtown Cape Town, so there are going to be some ambient sounds in the background, but all good. It's nice to be able to have like an organic conversation. Again, outside of a place that many a Cape Tonian and many a foreign visitor make sure that they visit when they come to Cape Town, the House of Machines. So going back to, you know, introducing yourself, you're a people person, you love people, you're a disruptor. It's fair to say that your love for fashion, it stems from a very young age, and we're going to go into that shortly. But then you're also a bit of a petrol head.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. So if I could get into the fashion thing, I don't actually have a passion for clothing at all. It's something that I fell into because I got fired. I was being trained to open up a car hires company branch in Port Elizabeth in East London. And I really am not a manager. I always tell people I'm not a managing director, I'm a damaging director. So you don't give me anything to do with that type of shit or paperwork or anything like that. So I got fired and I didn't have a job, and I managed to get a job as a junior agent selling leftover clothing to the Indian traders in Durban, in Grey Street and Pine Roads. And they were the old traditional tailors and retailers, but they were the proper tailors of the day. And they picked up my passion for design and style and trying to find out more. And they taught me the bulk of what I know about clothing today, because I would spend a Friday afternoon in their little workshop in the back room of the establishment, and I'd see them chalking up stuff and tailoring and cutting, and eventually they started showing, they even let me cut stuff, and they spoke to me about constructions of garments. And so I got very caught up in the old tradition, and I've always been into old tradition of clothing and of the heartbeat of it and why it is and what makes a good trouser, what makes a good suit, a good shirt. And then I just sort of fell into it more and more, because I got offered a job in Cape Town for a third of what I was earning in Durban, but I knew I had to get here to become the assistant to a guy called James Stater, who was the managing director of a very big company here. And he had a brand called Carducci, which he brought me into. And together we developed that brand. He left like a year later, and then I took it over and it turned it into a monstrous brand. And I just seemed to, I think my strength lay in the fact that I never followed fashion ever. So I just went with what my heart was telling me. So the brand itself and the colors and the way I approached it never had anything to do with clothing. It was just a feeling of what I wanted. And that's, I think, was its strength, because it was different to other brands and it's accelerated out of that. And I went against the grain with everything, not to be a rebel, but just because that's what I felt. And I had a particular fabric that my boss at the time, we were on a trip in France. And I used to hate going to France. I only went to Italy because everyone wore linen in Italy, and I loved linen. And I was probably the only person outside Italy wearing linen in those days. And what actually happened was my boss said, "Come, we're going to go to France." I said, "John, I hate going to," and it was a clothing expo called SEM, SEHM. And I said to him, "John, I hate going to SEM. I call it same, because nothing ever changes there." Anyway, I went there and with him, and he said, let's all break up and meet together for lunch. And I walked off, and I walked down this island. In front of me, I saw heaven. I saw these linen suits, which I'd never seen out of Italy before. And these suits were in 5 pastel colors, ice cream colors: pastel pink, silver gray, white, pastel blue, and what was the other one? I think it was yellow. So come to me. Yeah. And I looked at that and I thought, geez, this is incredible. And I went to the guys who had done it, and they happened to be Italians. And I congratulated them. My Italian was quite good, and I started talking. I said, no, this has been terrible. Nobody likes the lean. Or I said, well, guys, give me the hand. This is extraordinary. Anyway, at lunchtime, I met my boss with the rest of the team. And I said, John, I found Carducci. And he said, oh, I thought you hated this place. I said, well, there's only one thing I've seen, and this is going to be the future of Carducci. And I walked him down to Ireland. I pointed this out to him, and he looked at me and said, you can forget it. He said, it's gay, okay? And nobody will ever wear linen. I said, well, I'm going to develop a fabric that looks like linen. You're not, I'm not going to put a cent into it. Got home, back to Cape Town, and got hold of my textile agent, who was a Japanese guy, and I said, develop a fabric for me that looks like linen for suits, a fabric for shirts, and then I want to do knitwear, I want to do ties, I want using just those 5 colors. So if you're going to do stripes, I want all 5 stripes in it. I want in my printed shirt florals, use those colors, blah, 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 blah. And it must look like linen, but not crease. And 2 weeks later, he sent me this little package that was exquisite, just perfect. And my boss didn't know about it because he wasn't going to put a cent into it. And I went up to Joburg on one of my typical trips, and I had all my agents there. And I started talking to them about what I had and what I wanted to do. Because we were the only factory in the world that made everything: suits, jackets, trousers, shirts, everything. And I showed it to him, and I said, but John's not going to put a cent into it. And they looked at it and said, but this is extraordinary. So in the meanwhile, I actually said to John, look, if we buy the fabric in advance, we can deliver it all together. He said, Paul, forget it, just stop bugging me. Anyway, my agents, they said, give us that, give it to us. Let's see what we can do. And without telling John, they went out and they showed it to all the retailers. In those days, there were lots of retailers, not just big chain stores. And I don't know, in like 10 days, they probably did, like, in today's money, maybe 15 million.
Wow.
Okay. And I went back to Cape Town and got back, and John said, so how was the trip? I said, no, it was actually very successful. So I said, in fact, I got you remember that Tanlini thing that I was working on? And he said, cool, stop it. How did you? I said, no, well, look, here's the orders. And I had a bundle. I said, here's Panellini, you know. Anyway, and it took off from there. And
Fantastic.
so that was my start, my big start into the clothing industry, but always moving away from what everybody else was doing. And my disruption is more about an irritation. It's about, why does everyone have to dress exactly the same just because it's cool? Why can't you just be an individual? Why can't you have your own sense of style? Within reason, don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
But develop your own personality. Now, the average person, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but they're not really interested in clothes. They just have to put something on in the mornings. But for those that do know, they will still dress to a trend, which has got absolutely no value. Tomorrow, all of a sudden, that's the wrong shoes you're wearing, mate. What you doing with those? So even if you take, like, if you look at sneakers, I actually hate sneakers because sneakers dominate clothing today. So whether you're wearing a suit, whether you're wearing jeans, whether you're whatever, it's about the sneaker. So the sneaker totally dominates the rest of the look. I've got these this style. Monk, sorry, not mole. This is the monk style. Now that is a traditional suit that nobody ever knows about, but I will wear those because they're pure and they're forever and timeless. Okay, so yeah, so I think I might have told you before, I've got 2 things that I write in my diary every year. The first thing is keep the unexpected alive and lead where others follow. Now, I don't think there's a single person in Cape Town with a monk shoe. Not one with a monk shoe.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Remember
doing it.
docs did those with the
Yeah,
buckle over the
yeah. So I'm not doing it because
you
it's.
let it roll.
I'm not doing it because it's trendy or anything. I'm doing it because it's cool style.
And it doesn't, as you say, it doesn't dominate your. It
Doesn't-
doesn't dominate.
Yeah,
It kind of
doesn't-
takes a bit of a backseat.
That's it.
Whereas, like you say, a lot of trainers, it
Yeah.
is all about
Yeah.
the trainer.
And I mean, what I'm hating about clothing at the moment is that anything goes. So anything, you can wear anything with anything, and it's taken away individuality. You can say, no, that does make it more individual, but it doesn't, because it comes with bad taste. And this like, if you take the purity of a bench and you suddenly have this really ornate note, it doesn't have the same soul. Like the traditional stuff has still got a soul. Like if you look at, you were showing me this Porsche thing earlier, those handmade Porsches, they've got soul. If you take the modern car, I mean, earlier on, my friend Davide arrived here on his Vespa, but before he did, I heard the Vespa, and the sound of that motor is so incredibly evocative, and it gives a warmth and a soul. And whereas the modern cars were pop, 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 and that's exhausted or blaring. And it's not because I'm old, it's because I'm real. It's
These trainers don't squeak.
these things are.
Whereas a good leather shoe every now and then has a sound.
Oh yeah, this one does as well. It's got that.
Yeah.
And as
So,
it
yeah,
gets,
the
as it gets,
buckle.
as your trainer gets older, you start out with a shoe. As it gets older, you keep it, you resole it, and you let it live even more, like with a leather jacket. So to me, like when I was a suit designer,
Yeah.
the bottom of your trousers would be exactly measured to the bottom of your shoe was to the heel. It would fit perfectly. The pleat, everything would fit perfectly in every sense. And, everything about that was just done with feeling, with craftsmanship and style. Whereas today, you just throw anything on, mate, because it's cool,
Yeah, and with care.
and it's got no value, So that's where I am with clothing and with stuff.
So that's your earlier days,
Yeah.
and the journey with
Yeah.
Carducci
Yeah.
and I remember as a young man growing up, Carducci, especially here in South Africa, was quite the brand.
Yeah.
And I wanted a linen suit back in the day.
Yeah.
And so that's your journey with, in the earlier years,
Yeah.
and how you essentially formed your love of quality craftsmanship and materials that
Yeah.
are used in clothing. Fast forward now to the last sort of decade or so. You've now got your brand here in Cape Town called Proper.
Yeah.
But prior to that, you've had quite a few
Yeah.
brands along the journey.
Okay, so
Blue collar, white collar.
when I left Carducci out of frustration because I came up with a new concept of more deconstructed suitings, and my bosses told me it's never going to sell. And so I decided I'm going to go out and do it on my own. And I opened up clothing stores called Frank the Earnest, which comes from the expression to be perfectly frank and earnest.
Yes.
And they really, I had two partners in it, an Italian girl, Adele, and Gerald Strimling, who did the business side of it. And the three of us opened up Frank Ernest in the Garden Centre, and it really was extraordinary, and it took off fantastically. And then after that, I opened up stores a little while later called Wild Oscar, because Oscar Wilde wrote The Importance of Being Earnest. And that was wild. Now, Frank the Earnest was tame and classical. Wild Oscar was exactly up to the big collars, big flowers. It was wild. That was Wild Oscar. And then got out of that. And then a while later, I opened up stores called Blue Collar, White Collar, because I was very aware of people and the tribes of people. And I can even today look at people around me and say, he's a blue collar guy, he's a white collar guy. The blue collar guys are factory guys, are artists, are sculptors, are tradesmen. It's all about the hands, and it's about making it work as it works. Whereas the white collar guy's a lawyer, is very controlled in his thinking, and that's the white collar guy in an office, always dressed immaculately. Yeah. So that's why I opened up these stores called Blue Collar, White Collar, and I had them for a very long time with a business partner, AD, and it did very well. And fortunately, I sold it because the this very big group bought it from me. And so I got the money, and you can say, take the money and run. It was to a point that I consulted to them for 2 years afterwards. We had 6 stores then. And then I had this critical motorcycle accident 8 years ago, which in a sense was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. I had a store just up the road here called the Proper Store. It was only a few months old, and the Proper Store was getting back to traditional old school clothing, where I hand stamped the labels. I even had the size stamped in the collar. I had the name of the person and that place for you to put your name, but it was all about hand stuff. And I'd only had the place for 3 months when I had this critical motorcycle accident that obliterated me. Not my fault. And then for a long time, I couldn't do anything. And then Cheryl Lazinski, who runs the Orange City Farmers Market.
Hey, bro.
Are you good? I'm in an interview. Thanks. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Cheryl, he does so much for me, that guy. She saw me on crutches and said, Paul, what are you doing? And I said, well, nothing. You should come to the market. We want you here. And so I took my Proper brand there. And Proper now is so honest and so tiny. Thanks, mate. Thank you. It's so tiny. It's like, I do 15 of each garment. Like this jacket, there'll only be 15. This shirt, there'll only be 15. And so it's unique stuff, and it's classical with a bit of a twist in it. And I love it because I meet people. I'm there on my own, and my son works with me, and I've got another young girl, Sonia, who helps me there as well. But essentially, I'm like the heartbeat of the brand there. And I just love meeting people. If you're around, where are you from? I come from Amsterdam. Are you serious? You're from Amsterdam? We'll meet you tonight at my bar. We'll connect. And so it's all about the creative energy of life. That's what I love, you know.
Yeah, and it's positive energy. And when you surround yourself with that,
Positive.
I think that brings enrichment and contentment to your life.
Steve, the other thing for me, what that accident taught me was, it taught me, firstly, how lucky I am to be alive, because what I went through basically took me out. But secondly, life, how beautiful life is. A day like today, the leaves are starting to come out on the trees, but life, that we have this incredible life. And we are so blessed to be who we are. We're at a level which is maybe only 2% of the world. The rest of the world, what I found in India, they don't even know what Coca-Cola tastes like, you know, fortunately. But what I'm saying is that we are so blessed. We can say, oh, I'm going to go to Hawaii or Japan, or let's do this, or let's go eat here tonight. We are so blessed that we've got that. And we forget that. We forget. And my big thing is the senses and the elements, and they're both through. Touch, smell, taste, all the visual things. It's all free. We don't pay for it. The stuff we pay for has got no value. The free stuff is that.
So be appreciative of it.
Be appreciative.
And make the most of it.
Make the most and enjoy it.
Yeah, because I mean, that was, having known you for a few years and having discussed this with you in the past. I mean, that was a pretty bad accident.
Yeah.
I mean, you nearly died on the road there.
I did, yeah. And fortunately, there was an ambulance parked next to me when I hit the road, and they basically stabbed my heart with adrenaline and got me back. And I went through it all with it.
Yeah, you went through years of
A lot of depression, a lot of useless. I felt useless. I was in a wheelchair, crutches. I remember sitting right here in the wheelchair and looking at the miracle of people walking at one leg in front of the other, and thinking, wow, that they can walk, you know? And and those are things we take for granted. Look at the guy walking there. You can see him walking down the road there. One step in front of him, he doesn't even think I can walk. To me, that was a miracle that he can walk. And then eventually I did. And I've just started running again. And I've managed now to do 1 kilometer and bring my time from 10 minutes down to 8 minutes today. And whereas before I could do the kilometer in 3 minutes 12 or something, 8 kilometers. Now, but I'm doing it. And that's the miracle of life. And it's not me that did it, or the doctors. It's just this wonderful God that is knitting everything together and making it work for us, you know?
what as you say, kind of like a blessing in disguise, because
It was a blessing.
it reignited your passion for the basics.
You know, Steve, if it would never happened to me, I would have been trapped. I would have had my clothing store here. I would have probably opened up under 3 or 4 staff. That, how did you go today? Oh, terrible stuff. Done well, yeah, but the other one bad. Staff, never been able to travel, never been able to do this. I'm free.
So it's fair to say it turned you from like a fairly passionate person beforehand,
Yeah.
like a go-getter, but it turned you into a maverick.
Yeah.
You
have no fear.
Yes, you were willing to make big decisions without, as you say, fear, simply because you couldn't have got any lower than that.
I went to the, no, really, I was, But you know, the interesting thing is that I think most people have a fear of losing money. That's why they won't open up a business, because they actually think, but if I don't put my savings and it doesn't work, what's going to happen? You're going to live. You're going to live, rather lose that money and live, because you'll learn out of that. Just how unnecessary money is and how powerful life is, because you come back with so much more knowledge. The layers of knowledge I have in my head, money can't buy. Only time buys that. Only time buys that. And so I've got stuff here that no one could ever have. And like you've got stuff that no one could ever have. And that's the wonderful thing about life, and about losing and about gaining. You're getting stronger all the time, not weaker. You're actually getting stronger every day. And that's what's so beautiful. And people are fearful of losing. What's to lose? It's only money.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Valuable lessons there. And okay, so let's chat about the House of Machines. And you know, what was your motivator to want to create this community hub? Because essentially that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what happened was, I used to have another cafe, a much bigger one than this, with my twin brother, because of my passion for bikes. And it was called Speedway 105 in the old German club. Now, Speedway 105 was really raw and wild. It wasn't fancy and sophisticated. It was raw. It was basic beers, brandy and coke, that type of stuff.
Wasn't it up the road there?
No, it was in the gardens in Hope Street. Yeah. So the old German club, no, that's the school. The old German club is this beautiful old building with a massive parking area in front that no one really knows about, with the oldest bowling alley in the Southern Hemisphere.
Wow, it's still there.
Still there, and it's got a dance hall with a sprung pool with a stage that could take 500 people. So it was an insane place. And I managed, with my twin brother, to get the lease on it. We didn't have money. We did it raw and crude, but it was so beautifully pure and honest. We used to have rockabilly bands there. We used to have arm wrestling there. You know, it wasn't sleazy. It was just raw. It was so honest and people absolutely loved it. I mean, the guys that own Deluxe, like Judd and Carl used to take his Vespa at high speed around our parking lot and always lose control and go bundling off, and the Vespa would go this way and the other one. And we used to the guys would arrive with the most incredible old muscle cars and motorbikes. And so that's what we were about. We were really about the passion of it. So it wasn't to look fancy. It was just about the soul of the bike and of the car. And that was my real passion. Anyway, we had to close it because we made too much noise in the neighborhood. So we lost the lease, which again was great. And then years later, I was actually in Bangkok, and we were talking about Bangkok earlier, you and I. And at 5 a.m. in the morning, I get a phone call from an Australian guy. He says, "Hello, mate. My name's Drew." I said, "Oh, hi, Drew." He said, "Look, I'm sitting in Cape Town here, and I've heard a lot about you. And I believe you love motorbikes, and you had a bar, and you want to maybe do another one." I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Well, so do I. Why don't we get together when you're back?" And that door across the road, number 61, was his office. I rang the doorbell, walked up, and he's on the top there. And he looks down at me and he says, "Oh, you mate?" I said, "Oh, how you do?" And he puts his arm out, and I'll cut it very quickly. But essentially what he said was, "Listen, I get a gut feel about people. I like you. Let's do it." Before I'm even up the steps. So I said, "Well, you said the bar." I said, "Oh, cool. Okay, let's do it." And that was the start of the journey. Now,
Right over the road.
On the first floor there. Yeah.
Take a shot of that so we can put it.
Yeah. And this place belonged to a guy who was a a ship architect for high-speed frigates for this Norwegian for the Nordic areas. He used to design and build from here.
Scandinavia.
And then we saw him, and he was a biker. He did the Dakar, and he saw me and he waved. And I saw him. He came out and he said, "Geez, this is nice. What's this? No, it's my bloody office." I said, "Geez, very nice office." And he said, "Geez, I hate it. Everyone thinks I'm a bar." And essentially, what came out of it was, Drew sort of said, "Look, you can have my spot. I'll have yours." And that's how we got the bar.
There we go.
And
Serendipitous.
yeah, and so we were originally, Drew and I originally were just going to build motorbikes here and have just this front section was going to be beers and coffee. That's it. And then what happened was Brad Armitage, who started Vida and Union, I introduced him to Drew, and Brad was Mr. Beer, Mr. Coffee of South Africa. So we brought him in and then thought, well, we'll build bikes at the back. Here's the bar, here's the coffee. And it evolved out of that, and with live music. So we've now become...
And you built cafe races and custom bikes at the back. Yes, I remember that.
It became too, for us, we loved it, but it became too smelly for the upstairs people. The smell used to go up of the engines and the revving of the motors. And so we started building bikes off like in Pardon Island and stuff. But we do ride outs like we still do. And it really became like a heartbeat here. And the average person that comes to this bar isn't a biker. In fact, they're more into the music or more into the cocktails. But they like the romance of the bike. So that's really the house of machines. The machine is in the heart of the bike. And so that's really how that came about. And it's evolved beautifully. We still have the diehards that have been coming out since day one, but there's a lot of them that have moved on, because guys then were, let's say, a guy, if he was 30 then, or 32, he's now 44 and he's married with kids and he's living in the suburbs. So we keep getting new people coming through, which is beautiful. But we've been consistent in our delivery, and I can't take credit for this. Drew, my business partner, he runs all of this from overseas, but he knows right now I've just done this to my finger. He is so controlled, and he's going to take all the credit for making it work. I'm just like on the creative energy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm coming to interview. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. How are you? I'm caught up in a movie here.
What?
I'm caught up in a movie, in an interview. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Paul.
No, don't worry.
No problem.
Cheers.
Nice to see you.
Thanks. But he used to come to the original Speedway, that guy.
Oh, really?
Way back, yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, so we constantly, there's been a consistency now of our delivery of our coffee. We got the award as the top high volume cocktail bar for Africa and the Middle East. We were voted in I think number 93 or 96 in the top 100 bars in the world. So we've got a lot of recognition worldwide. And we have a very strong following of people that just absolutely love and know the House of Machines. So, yeah, it's an institution. It really is,
Yeah. And you do live music events, so you're encouraging the local music scene with the amount of live music. I mean, how many nights a week do you have live music? Every night a week?
For Sunday clubs.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have different themes. Yeah, different themes and things. But we've got a guy called Josh Grierson, who's also known as Jack Thomas. He's our music director, and he puts it all together. He gets the bands. He makes that all happen. He's the best, by miles for me, performer that we've ever had. He's our main guy, and when he performs, another story. So, and then we've got in the backroom guys there, the guys that put the cocktails together and do the coffee. They're highly skilled, highly trained, and a lot of them have moved on. Like Shauna, who you saw earlier, she's opened up her own spot now, but it comes from out of here. And I love it when people move on, because that's what you want to do. You don't want to keep people closed in.
Yeah.
You want them to actually live and survive and move out.
Yeah. And you've provided a decent mentorship for her.
That's it.
In a very natural way, without having to make it feel like an incubator.
Yeah.
It's just progression. And Shanae, it's lovely. I mean, I remember coming here years and years and years ago, and immediately she struck me as the type of person that like would one day just do her own thing. And there it is, over the road.
And it's superb.
Lovely, lovely.
Superb, you know. So yeah, the house is a home, you know. And people, what I love about the house is that you can be any age and you never feel out of it.
Yes.
Any age, any type of person. So we get such a mishmash of people coming here and they all love it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's the important thing about a brand. Like with my clothing brands, it always got no age to it. It's really this jacket that I've just made. I'll get a young guy like my son is 26. He'll wear it proudly and in his own style, and then you'll get a guy that you saw walking past now, is probably 80, who will also wear it in his own way. So there's no age to. That's the secret of having a good brand. There's got to be no age to it. You can define a brand and say, well, you're an athlete or whatever. But if you want a sustainable brand, you know, if you want a sustainable brand, then yeah, that's what it is.
No, a lot of places have what's that disclaimer above the top.
Oh yeah, right of mission reserve.
Yeah. And this is a very kind reminder.
Yeah.
This is it's a reminder to people to be kind
to life. Yeah. So we use that in our bike rides, you see, because when we do our bike rides, you'll get 65 or 100 bikes going out, and then you're going to get these dicks who want to show everyone how fast they are, and they'll wait behind them, they'll come screaming past everyone, wheeling and stuff like that, you know, and just disrupt everything and think they're really impressing us. And so we use that expression when you do the ride. Listen, guys, let's respect each other. Let's go have fun. If you want to go off and really go for it, really, no, we're not going to hate you for it. Go off and have a good, we'll meet you somewhere for coffee. But don't be a dick, you know, and that applies so beautifully to life. If you think of it, like, if you rude to somebody, don't be a dick. I mean, just respect. It's about respect.
Yeah, treat somebody as the way in which you wish to be treated. It's as simple as that.
And so I love that expression, you know. It's amazing, yeah.
There it is, right.
And it's one of the most photographed things in Cape Town. I think even more than Table Mountain. You will find people constantly coming down and standing and taking a picture. It's quite amazing, yeah.
Photograph more than Table Mountain. That says something about that mantra.
Yeah.
And a reminder, as you say. And so, Paul, what's next on the cards? I know you mentioned to me earlier that you've just come back from what you call a fanatical, not a sabbatical, a moment of reflection, a moment of rebirth, one could say, and creative rebirth from the East. So what's next in Paul Van Der Spuy's journey?
So basically what happened to me, that journey came about because I was actually very bored doing what I was doing, because I've been doing the same.
Yes.
And with limitations as well, because South Africa is limited in where and what you can make. And so I decided that I just had to get away for 5 weeks to just rediscover myself, you know. And so what I did was I bought a ticket to India to drive tours and to reinvent myself, to start. My whole objective was to almost start as though nothing had ever happened, that I've never done clothing in my life before or anything.
Okay.
And that where is the core and the heartbeat and the start of clothing? And Jaipur in India, when it comes to craftsmanship and stuff done by hand, it's one of the centers of the universe, because, you know, you'll get big factories in Italy and everything like that, but those are factories. But there you get people with like twisted fingernails and they're doing stuff.
And they've been doing it for generations.
It's passed on through the family right here, and they know what they're talking about. And they're traditional.
Those dyeing methods and as you say, the artisanal craft.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing it for
thousands of years. And that's what's so wonderful about India. Like here, nobody becomes a machinist here. It's a dying breed, because no young people want to be machinists. There, it's in your family and it's in your blood, and you just continue it. And so when I went there with an empty palette, a blank palette, but basically to rediscover and refine the real honest stuff in clothing, nothing synthetic. So I went over and I had 5 core fabrics that I had to find. And I said, I'm not coming back to South Africa until I found that. That's my mission. And I found them. And wow, I mean, it was very difficult. The first week was very depressing there. It was chaotic. I didn't know where I was. No one could speak English. I was the only European face. Like in the 5 weeks I was there, I probably saw 8 European faces. And so you've totally isolated from it. And eventually I found my way by going to coffee bars and started becoming a local. And then after the first week, it started evolving and evolving and evolving. And I found the honest, pure fabrics that I was looking for. And then I started, like on my design, I want to go to purity in design and simplicity. And Dieter Rams, who's my style icon hero, was the guy who did the Braun, like, kitchenware, but he also did the sound system, the Braun sound system. And Apple, when Apple was launched, they copied stuff that he had done in 1950. His designs, if you look at Dieter Rams' designs in 1950, you will kill to own a Dieter Rams. And he said that good design isn't what you put onto it, it's what you take off. He said the more you take off, the better you've got. And I've just bought a made in Japan Subaru, old 2008 car. And the reason why I bought it was because of the honesty of design. It's all about function and making it work. The dashboard is so insanely simple, but so perfectly put together. And that's almost the same. They would definitely have been inspired by Dieter Rams. But for me, I'm trying to get to that now where I always have my quirks on my garments and stuff like that, but I want to have pure, honest stuff, get back to craftsmanship. Yeah. And so that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, I think everyone throws the word authenticity around a lot, but as you say, it's. I think a better word is honest.
Honest. It's honest.
And you know, the simplest of things, whether it's a song that you write, whether it's something that you design, is often the most difficult to achieve. The simplest.
Oh yeah, that's it. People are frightened of simplicity.
Yes.
Because they think it's misunderstood. But you know what I find very interesting is that I was thinking about it this morning, and that's why I loved the sound of that Vespa this morning, is that if you want a brand to stick forever, and I would love to have something like this, but if you want a brand to stick forever, give it a sound. Now, to give clothing a sound is very, very difficult. But if there's a sound that people love and recognize, like you were talking about the creaks of a leather shoe, there's something about that. When you hear that, you'll immediately say, geez, that sounds like a leather shoe. But it gives you that wonderful feeling of warmth and comfort. And so I don't know where it is, but I'm going to find a sound for my brand that will just give people that memory, you know. Give people that, it's like, you know, if you take the sound of running water, it just works.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And so
Finding that sound.
I only thought about that literally an hour ago.
Yeah.
So it was something else that I have to find.
Yeah, it's interesting. Have you seen the trend on social media recently of just ambient background noises as opposed to them putting music over everything?
Better. Yeah, I did see it the other day.
Yeah, so it's happening more and more where they'll just film and I've been doing it for quite a while. I'm not saying that but you just hear the sounds of the city,
the birds,
or the birds, the ocean, and you. It's no more like trying to find the perfect song to create some sort of a
mood.
Yeah, connect with your audience or a mood.
Yeah,
because music really is just such a personal thing. It's like you know. So I think it's way better to just like let the sounds.
I'm working on another collection that I was hoping to launch. I might still manage to do it in summer, but talking about city sounds and the clutter, I don't know if I ever told you about this, but when I was at my house in McGregor, and it was hectic and just traffic and billboards and clutter and everything is if you're looking at where we are right now, it's all vertical lines. Look at all the vertical lines here. There's very few unbroken, none. There's very few unbroken horizontal lines. Vertical lines are like prison bars. You've got to walk around it. And so, whereas a horizontal line is a line of peace. If you look at the ocean, for instance, or if you're out sitting on a mountain, that peace that comes from it. So I was sitting on my veranda in McGregor, and I was thinking about all of that and the clutter of life and the insanity of life in that, just the chase of what is going on here. And I came up with a concept for a collection that I want to do. And what it is, it's my silent collection. And I'm calling it SHHHH. And it's going to be very simple, beautifully made clothing. Understated, totally understated. And the label, it won't even have the name on the label. I'm going to hide the label inside the pocket. But it's a silent collection, but timeless and forever. And when you put it on, you just know that you belong. You belong in it. And it'll talk to you. So that I'm hoping to get going within the summer months. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for telling us about it. We look forward to that range.
Yeah.
Paul, it's always a treat seeing you.
Yeah. And
You know, whenever I come to Cape Town, I make sure I pop in here, and you know, you're always greeted with a friendly face. If Paul is here, then you know it's going to be a good night.
yeah.
And you're pretty much here most of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, always a treat to talk to you, Paul. And hugely inspiring in so many ways and to so many people. Thank you for making time, man.
No, thank you, Steve. I just love seeing you, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Keep it rolling, huh?
Thank you.
Keep it rolling.
And all the very best.
No,
And we'll
thanks, man.
stay in touch.
Yeah, we will, definitely. And your trip ahead, I wish you wonderful things.
Thanks very much.
That will be. Yeah.
Take good time.
Great
Thanks,
stuff. Thanks, sir.
Lovely.